Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 4, electroconductivity. So on your course schedule, vocabulary, pulmonary circulation, Purkinje fibers, sinoatrial node, superior vena cava, and ventricles. The assignment today, you were to look at page 293 through 296 in the textbook that's looking at electroconductivity, and you were to look at the study guide pages 173 through 175 in the old study guide. So today's information, we are going to look at 293 through the end of the chapter and look at how things run in that heart. So, electroconductivity. The heart muscle is controlled via a series of electrical impulses. The cardiac conduction system is spelled out on page 293 here. Essentially is made up of first of all, the sinoatrial node, right up in the very top here. Okay, the sinoatrial node is essentially what's called the primary pacemaker of the heart. It's what sets off the whole cascade and series of cardiac cycle. That sinoatrial node, upper posterior wall of the right atrium, is where the origination of the signal comes. When it fires, the fibers are innervated into the two atrium. You see this little line going across here. The right and left atrium both contract at the same time. Now that squeezes the blood that's in the atrium down into the ventricles to stretch the ventricles. Some people have taught that the blood goes from the atrium into the ventricle, from the ventricle and out. The atrium and ventricles are both full when the cycle starts. The atria just squishes more blood down into the ventricles to stretch the ventricles a little bit. Okay, it's not just volume A to here, and so on. It's stretching those ventricles. Anyways, as that signal pervades through the atrial fibers here, it causes the atria to contract. That signal then gets to what's called the bit of a brain fart there for a second. That atrial signal pervades down across the atrium, down to the atrioventricular node, or AV node. This is, for all intents and purposes, a little bit of a yield sign. It holds up that electrical signal and allows the atrium to fully contract, both left and right, to squish their full contents down into the ventricles, and then it sends that signal down through the what's called the bundle of His. And that bundle of His is in the intraventricular septum. Okay, that bundle of His breaks out into right and left bundle branches, and each bundle branch then breaks off into the smaller and smaller fibers called Purkinje fibers. Okay, now these Purkinje fibers, this bundle of His and Purkinje fibers, are very fast-acting nerve fibers, and they pervade the signal from the atrioventricular node through both ventricles, left and right, almost instantaneously, so that the ventricles contract simultaneously. So the atriums and the ventricles, then they reset. Atriums, ventricles, then they reset. Okay. The resetting is the relaxation of the muscle and the resetting of the whole cardiac signal. So these nerve fibers, again, the sinoatrial node, the atrioventricular node, the bundle of His, left and right bundle branches, and then the Purkinje fibers. Okay. Now, some of the characteristics of myocardial tissue, or the heart muscle itself. Okay, the myocardial tissues have some characteristics that make it unique. It very much resembles skeletal muscle. It is striated. Okay, actin and myosin bind together and pull themselves together to cause contraction. But it has a couple of other characteristics. It has automaticity and rhythmicity. Now, what we mean by automaticity is that the heart muscle, in the absence of an electrical impulse from the sinoatrial or atrioventricular node, will continue to contract at 40 beats per minute by itself. So, and rhythmicity means that it consistently beats in a rhythm, in a rhythmic fashion. When the sinoatrial node is firing, it will fire in a rhythmic fashion, in a regular fashion, so that it's not all over the place. This allows the heart to efficiently refill with blood and a consistent flow throughout the body. That rhythmicity and automaticity are unique to the muscle of the heart. Now, this automaticity and rhythmicity ensures a constant blood flow through the heart, pardon me, through the body, um, and arrhythmic or a dysrhythmia can occur in the heart through a variety of different situations, disease states, shock, etc. And this dysrhythmia can actually cause unconsciousness. It can cause blood clots to form and so on. So irregular heart rates are not a healthy thing. They need to be seen by a physician as soon as possible. So page 215, 295. I'm having a real great day today and haven't got my brain in gear yet. The cardiac conduction system, there's a good pathway there. The sinoatrial node, atrial conducting fibers through both left and right atrium. Atrioventricular node, where it's paused, a little yield sign there where the atrioventricular node is a good reminder that it pauses that signal for a very brief moment to allow the atrium to fully contract. Then down through the bundle of His, the left and right bundle branches, and then the Purkinje fibers. Now, page 295 also shows the electrocardiogram, ECG. This ECG consists of a series of little bumps and blips on a screen, and all the TV shows that have doctors in them show someone in the background with this little machine hooked up and beeping away. And of course, when someone has a heart attack, it just goes beep, and there's a line straight across. It's a bunch of hokey crap because that line straight across is called asystole, and there's you don't shock people from that. But anyways, getting back to reality here, the electrocardiogram reads the electrical activity in the heart, and it's consistent with the actions that are going on. So when the sinoatrial node fires, that sinoatrial node firing is called atrial depolarization and is indicated by a P wave. This first bump is called the P wave. That P wave is the electrical impulse being initiated by the sinoatrial node. Now there is a pause between the P wave here, this flat little spot, and the next series of waves on the chart, and that is the signal being paused at the atrioventricular node. During this time, the atria are contracting and squeezing the blood into the ventricles. Now you'll see the big deflections here called the QRS complex. This QRS complex are the signal being passed from the atrioventricular node down to those fast conducting bundle of His and Purkinje fibers almost instantly, and it's a huge electrical impulse. You remember that the muscle tissues of the ventricles are so much thicker and heavier. There's a lot of electrical signal generated here, and therefore a lot of deflection, a huge deflection. The big deflection is the ventricles contracting. Now there's also a pause here, and this pause is to allow the blood to leave the ventricles. This T wave, this final T wave back here, which completes the cardiac cycle, is ventricular repolarization or relaxing. The nerve fibers are resetting themselves, getting ready to send another nerve signal through them. Atriums also repolarize themselves as well, but that is hidden somewhere in the QRS complex. It's a small signal to start with. The repolarization is much smaller, like comparing the T wave to the QRS here. This is repolarization of this signal. The repolarization of the atrium is taking place, but it's too small for us to be able to see on the electrocardiogram. So this whole series is called the cardiac cycle. Okay. Now the PR interval is the distance between the start of the P wave and the start of the R wave. This is the period of time that the atrioventricular node is pausing that signal and allowing the atriums to fully disclose or fully contract and expel all the blood into the ventricles. Evaluating this and looking at the anomalies that can happen within the electrocardiogram is an EMT skill, but as an EMR, you will be assisting or potentially assisting an EMT in the hooking up and pulling strips and so on. So knowing this, it puts you ahead of the game. Okay, that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it. Well, besides describing, I want to describe, this is called normal sinus rhythm, NSR. There are no anomalies. There's a nice P wave, a nice QRS complex. The PR interval is fairly tight, and there's a T wave. all the characteristics are present. So in this case, this is normal sinus rhythm, and that really is the last little bit of information for this chapter on the back of page 296. So if you look at day 4 on your schedule, the assignment today, I'd like you to have a look at the Human Body and Health and Illness Study Guide, page 176 through 177. If you there's some table there and some matching questions, and then we have a review for a vocab quiz for day 1 through 4 vocabulary. That's tomorrow. We should have that up right away here. So we'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. There is no reading assignment, and day 5 you guys will have that vocab quiz. Have a great day.